Hi, this is Jason, Chief Technical Analyst with Toro Alerts, with a trade setup opportunity in KTOS Defense and Security Solutions, ticker KTOS. So KTOS just announced earnings last couple of days and had a pretty nice earnings report. Beat earnings by about 15% to the upside, and we saw about a 3% to the upside over expectations on revenue. So had a pretty solid earnings report, and we saw some massive volume come in on this after the earnings report came out. And an interesting thing taking a look at this chart is each time we've seen volume price action get this elevated, the last three times we were at these levels from a volume perspective, it was signifying a bottom in the stock. So when we look back in February of 2022, we saw some very elevated volume levels here, and that ultimately was signifying a reversal in the stock there. We also saw a reversal here around May of 2022 with some high volume, and now for the third time we're back up to some really high volume levels. Now it's not a reversal because we were already sort of trending to the upside a bit, but we've also broken up above that 200-day moving average, which is very bullish. And so as long as we're staying above that 200-day moving average, I think this is a great trade setup opportunity. We also saw from kind of some of the fundamental news around KTOS, they got a big Navy contract worth about $50 million. So I'm sure that added to the excitement around their quarterly reports being strong as well. And we can also see when we kind of zoom out on KTOS that we are sitting at some pretty extreme oversold levels. And this dashed blue line here is our 10-year logarithmic moving average, which is a 2 standard deviation. The red line is kind of our mean in the middle, and those dashed lines to the top and bottom are our 2 standard deviations to the upside and the downside. And we can see when we zoom out here, typically when we get to those 2 standard deviations, that tends to be a pretty solid area to buy the stock. And if we get to the top level of that, we can see we peaked out at that in February of 21. That was actually a great area to take profits or potentially enter a short in that stock. And so when we see the extreme readings of a kind of a 2 standard deviation over a long period of time, that tends to be a pretty good area of support to buy that stock. And so we are definitely just slightly above that 2 standard deviations now. We actually spent a bit of a time putting a nice base in below those levels as well, and now we're starting to see a move to the upside. So I think there's a pretty strong chance we could at least get back up to that mean reversion level on KTOS, and that would represent about 60% of upside from here. So definitely some nice upside potential, also in a sector that's performed with some pretty strong relative strength compared to the rest of the market, including this last week when everything else was selling off. The defense sector sold off pretty minimally compared to everybody else. So I think overall the defense space is a pretty good sector to keep an eye on for 2023, and we're also seeing a pretty nice move with this break on very high volume to get up above that 200-day moving average, which we haven't seen on KTOS really since back in June of 21. So it's been quite some time since we've seen a break above those levels. So this could be the start of a nice little rally that we definitely want to be a part of if it continues to the upside from here. So sets us up with a really nice stop loss as well. If we see price action close below the 200-day moving average, then I'm out of the trade, which is right around $12 or so currently. And if we do hold that as support and we stay above the 200-day moving average, that will be riding that to the upside and looking for a potential price target. I'd say probably the first one will be around $16.25 or so, and then if we see it break through that level to the upside, then we'll be looking for that kind of mean reversion back to the middle here, which is around $21.50 or so on KTOS. So definitely check out KTOS for a good trade setup opportunity, and make sure to check out Toro Alerts on the App Store. We've got one for stocks and one for crypto, or you can check us out at toroalerts.com.